Hello everyone, and welcome back to Tree of Life Tarot. So this is an unplanned reading, but as I was arriving home, Spirit was telling me sit down and do a reading. That there's some sense of urgency here. I was shown this deck to be used. This is the Nicoletta Ciccoli Tarot that I've used before. I've shuffled it and cut it many times. There's something that wants to come through, but I want to deliver this message first, which, before I could sit down to do this, I stepped outside to let my dog out and was trying to listen and tune in, and I heard the words come through, the wasteland. So perhaps you have recently experienced the destruction of something. Perhaps something has ended, whether you desired it to end or not, and there's a sense of wandering in some sort of in-between space, not knowing how long a season this is, how short a season this is, where it's all going, if anything that was ever will be again. You may have passed through, to say it's a tower moment for those who speak tarot isn't quite strong enough. The word apocalypse is really what comes to mind. The complete destruction of something. But mind you, apocalypse is also the lifting of the veil. And so as I was sitting with this, the other phrase that came through was sifting through the rubble. So as things have collapsed, as, the destruction of whatever it was that used to be your way of knowing, your home, the things that were familiar, your possessions, is sort of in pieces around you. There's a process of sifting through that, seeing what remains, and seeing what might be made of it. And what might be made of it will not be what was before. It will be something new. But the message is that the destruction of what was, the breaking down specifically of what was, creates the building blocks for what is to come. And there's a process of sifting through, collecting, assessing, and then building to come. But this is very much a sense of the wasteland. Okay, let's see what the cards have to say. Nine of Pentacles. Here we go. And the High Priestess. Now our Nine of Pentacles is a card of, it's actually a card of wealth. It's a card of abundance and material possession. You see this lovely lady here depicted in quite a luxurious scene with her swan there, but I want to point out to you right away is, if you look at her eye there, one of her eyes, she's seeing through the eye of the swan. Now the swan is a beautiful symbol of grace, spirituality, of, grace is really coming through strong. And grace can have many forms. It can be divine grace that, is that sort of, as John O'Donohue would say, that permanent atmosphere of kindness that is available and accessible to us at all times in any context. But there is help. There is help from the divine. There's also help from, the animal represents, the earthly realm, the instinctual, that there are energies all around us that are supporting and interacting throughout every moment of our lives. And if we tune into them and see through their wisdom, see through, sometimes we need animal wisdom to get out of our thinking mind. So here she's half seeing with the human eye, half seeing, with the swan's eye. And then we have the High Priestess here, which is, of course, that divine wisdom. Now, my dog wants to jump up here. Okay, buddy, good boy. So with our High Priestess there, pardon the interruption, she is divine wisdom. She is that bringing of, you notice the crown here floating above her head, which is, the opening of the crown chakra, where divine transmissions, come into us. And it flows into her body, and her body is not only human, it's wrapped in this tower that is kind of earth materials. It's kind of a mountain of herself, and here she is at the top of the mountain. The mountain archetypally, or the mountaintop archetypally, being that place where wisdom is sought and gained. So not only is she at the top of the wisdom, at the top of the mountain, possessing the wisdom that is there, she herself is the mountain. All of that wisdom is within her. The entire journey is within her. So we see two figures here who have both their human knowledge and the elemental animalistic knowledge, and again here, earth knowledge, spiritual knowledge, divine knowledge. So, and I also want to say both of these cards are highly independent. The High Priestess can represent a time of silence, of mystery, of holding back. And the Nine of Pentacles is sort of sitting in her own energy right now, a bit of withdrawal, of being in the world that she creates and not being overly engaged with externals. So both of these kind of signal this may be a time of withdrawal. If you are walking through the wasteland, you may be walking that part of the journey alone. And it doesn't mean there aren't people around you, but your interiority needs tending to sift through this rubble. Because the rubble, I use that word metaphorically. We think of, pebbles and broken things. But that also might be emotional rubble, psychological rubble, belief systems that have broken down. So this is very beautiful energy here. But it is a bit solitary. And it is seeing with different eyes, seeing with divine eyes. Let me just see if there's anything else before we continue. Okay. I just also want to say with the Nine of Pentacles, because that is, the Pentacle suit speaks to material things, and she does have quite a lot. So don't lose sight of what you do still have and the resources that you have built, be they in terms of skills or experience or other securities that you have in your life, things that you lean on, other resources to help you with this next period. Okay, let's continue. So we're going to pull five cards, which of course each card is a story, to see what else there is here. Ten of Cups. I did see that Ten of Cups on the bottom when I was talking through these first two, so I'm not surprised to see that come out. And the Ten of Cups is, of course, an extremely happy and positive card. It's ultimate fulfillment. There's quite a lot of play depicted on the card here. Knight of Wands, okay. Queen of Wands. Now, bottom of the deck, Five of Pentacles. Five of Pentacles does, and this is a very desolate looking card, as you can see, speaks to loss, regret, feeling left out in the cold, feeling, it's usually a card that depicts poverty, of a lack of resources. So this being beneath the deck, on the bottom of the deck, speaks to what might be going on beneath the surface in terms of how you're feeling. Feeling left out in the cold, feeling without resources, feeling the sadness of loss. But I would not despair for too long, because we have quite a lot of movement here. Chariot, Ten of Cups, Five of Wands, Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands. Chariot is one of the fastest moving cards in the deck. It's getting things into balance. It's usually kind of two opposing forces kind of being brought together in order to create forward momentum. The Ten of Cups here is a card of, it's the ultimate emotional fulfillment. It's usually like home, happiness, rainbows, the completion and fulfillment of that dream of happiness. It's also the ideal of happiness. And that's not to say ideal as in an illusion, but ideal is something that can propel us forward. You know, I was told at the beginning to keep the guidebook handy, and this particular deck has some really amazing descriptions, and I just want to look at the Ten of Cups real quick and tell you what the interpretation is here. So Ten of Cups, your allies and companions will see you through any dangers. You are on a path of success and happiness thanks to their loving help. Keywords are future happiness, family and friends, and loyalty. So your companions will see you through any dangers. You are on a path to success. So there's a strong sense of movement here. The Chariot is moving forward. Ten of Cups tell you that there is support all around. Now the Five of Cups is a card of conflict of competing energies. And as you move forward, you know, this is almost like I was talking about the rubble previously. It's like the rubble like rearing up, and oh my gosh, I'm almost seeing like an animated scene in my mind where someone's trying to like move through the rubble or move forward, and the remnants of what was kind of animate and kind of shout at the person saying, you know, what about me? What about me? You can't do this because this will happen, and all of these dangers. But these individual wands are just passions, desires, energies that are fighting for our attention. And their bark is worse than their bite. I want to redo that one as well. Let's just see, because this deck does such a good job. Five of Wands, as I was saying, remain calm in the face of perceived obstacles. They do not threaten you in any serious way. Find ways to placate your possible foes. So there are things that are presenting as dangers and difficulties, but it's how they're presenting. It's not necessarily the reality of the threat they pose. So these things that may have been lost, these things that feel unfinished, may still have some hold on you, may still try to hold you back as you try to move forward. And you know, it's very difficult. Anytime the wheel turns, anytime we're moving out of one season of life into another, I don't want to say that we do leave things behind. Even if the people and the places remain the same, the version of what it was is not the same. All change is a loss, and all losses must be grieved. Five of Pentacles here at the bottom. There's that grief. And as we try to move forward, the hold that the familiar has on us can try and pull us back, can compete for our energy, does not necessarily want to let go of our energy. And that's not to say that in a judging and condemning way. It's just, if you've moved through one of these cycles of change yourself, or have had need to let go of a certain group of people, for example, in order to grow forward, or because a situation fell apart, because you find yourself, you know, your loyalties being pulled to others, to yourself, to obligations, to the vision that's ahead, that's calling you forward. And walking away feels like a wasteland, you know. I'm mindful that our Chariot here, this is not the most enthusiastic Chariot card. It's on a donkey rolling forward, kind of doing what's necessary. It looks a little bit like a wasteland there. There's not much. So you find yourself moving through this transition. But the message here is to trust. This is for growth. This is for a higher vision. This is a divine calling, High Priestess, pulling you forward into, I would say, a stronger version of you, into more life-giving circumstances. Nine of Pentacles is very life-giving, very abundant. And of course, from the Five of Wands, we move right to Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands. So we are progressing rapidly, very, very rapidly. Knight of Wands is the fastest knight. He's passionate, can be a little impulsive, quick moving, driven by desire. And, you know, I'm always a little cautious of the Knight of Wands because that energy, you know, it can be a little bit too passionate to the sense of throwing caution to the wind or, you know, being carried away by passions. So there's a lot of movement, but no arrival. But here we have the arrival. We have our Queen of Wands, who is so creative, so vibrant, so fiery. It is that magnetic, passionate energy that is just intoxicating to be around. And this is what that journey is leading to being that Queen of Wands, to being so creative, so spiritual, so tapped in, and really wielding the energies around to her in a very useful way. But she's also extremely powerful. And that power can scare people. It can scare you if you're coming into this power, especially if you're used to feeling not so empowered, of other things having a hold on you. But this power, again, this is our primary, you know, instruction up here. 9 of Pentacles, High Priestess. This is spiritually grounded. This is learning the mysteries, not just about them, but how to live them and embody them. Look at our High Priestess here. She is the mountain. Our 9 of Pentacles. She's looking with the eye of the swan. So this is all leading to a wonderful place. Okay, let's clarify. Excuse me. Okay. Well, there's that's our King of Pentacles. So very strong energy. Very grounded. 7 of Cups. So a little bit of confusion. Whoops. That is too many cards, but we are going to take this one. That's Death. 8 of Swords. Okay, so there's our anxiety. One more, please. Knight of Cups. So beautiful place to end. Now, 8 of Cups at the bottom of the deck. This is walking away from a situation that no longer serves. In this card, you'll see it's depicted with these birds inside of a cage longing to be free. And you can see her here sort of wondering, what exactly do I do with all of these energies kind of swirling inside of me? Birds are messengers of spirit. There are these divine inspirations and energies sort of flying around inside of you. But right now they're caged up. And so at some point you're going to have to open that cage door to free them, but in freeing them, free yourself and see where they want to fly. But trust they are messengers of the divine. We have the High Priestess here. It's very clear. Excuse me. They are very clear, although it might be very confusing to experience this. But each of these birds is a possibility, is divine inspiration, is divine guidance where it's needed. So let's come down to our second row here. So our King of Pentacles here, you know, I love this confirming our Chariot. There's a bull literally charging out from under her dress, charging ahead fearlessly. You know, taking the bull by the horns is the phrase that comes to mind of, you know, finding that strength, finding that force within that is going to propel this chariot forward. You know, this is a rickety looking chariot here. That bull is kind of needed, and it's your inner strength that's going to help move this forward. I'm also mindful of the fact that Taurus, this is the card of Taurus, the King of Pentacles, and we have now moved into Taurus season in the sort of zodiac calendar of the year. So this is happening now. Now, 7 of Cups with our 10 of Cups. And mind you, when I read the description of this card, it spoke to, you know, friends will help you overcome the obstacles. And the obstacle right here, 7 of Cups, this is confusion. This is, look at all these different, you know, look at all these rabbits popping out of the ground here. Which one do you focus on first? Which do you attend to first? There's a sense of overwhelm here, of, you know, too many possibilities, just too many things to attend to all at once. And of course, rabbits always sort of indicate that nervous energy. So the obstacle that is, a bit challenging that you will have support with is what to choose, what to do here, which way to go, which one to focus on first. Not that any are particularly wrong, but there's a need to sort of find the one that is aligned for you. Now, moving to the next row, Death confirming the Five of Wands. I talked about all those competing energies, those energies that still have a hold on you, pulling you back as you try to move forward. Death here is the death of the version of you that is still attached to those things. It has to be a complete closure of the cycle. When I want to say, as you move forward, if someone or something is meant to be in your life, it will be. Even if you step away for a while, it will come back around in the form it needs to. So it is okay. You need to go through this transformation. You can't stay here fighting with the dragon. Not even fighting with the dragon, arguing with the dragon. Five of Wands is a card that drains energy tremendously. That has to go. And that is going. That's what is being, death is always a rebirth. But this is what is being sort of eclipsed away with this death card. Now, Eight of Swords confirming the Knight of Wands. There's a lot of anxiety here. Eight of Wands is it's always anxiety. It's feeling trapped. It's analysis paralysis, kind of creating a prison of the mind. And confirming the Knight of Wands, which, as I said, is a very fast-moving, can be very impulsive kind of energy. There's just a little bit of a caution here to not let your anxiety drive the way forward. Because we've all been there. You're so anxious about something, you just want it resolved right now. You want to know the outcome. You want to know what needs to get done. You want to try and get a sense of control over everything again. And this is just saying, make sure that it's not your anxiety that is propelling this forward. Don't be impulsive out of fear. Remember, it's the strength, our King of Pentacles, that needs to be driving this chariot forward, not our Eight of Swords. Here, and then finally, Knight of Cups, confirming the Queen of Wands. So this is moving ahead from the heart. And I did not intend that little play of words there, but the head and the heart are really kind of what came through there. Balancing the head with the heart, letting the heart lead. And, this is a little bit of a bronco she's riding there. The emotions can feel a little bit not overpowering. That's not what we're talking about. But their power, there's a sense of learning how to ride it, which is sort of what she's doing here. Our Queen of Wands, as I said, is so powerful. And, the Knight of Cups can also lead the way forward and is kind of on a quest for heart fulfillment. And coming into our Queen of Wands power here, the Knight of Cups is really serving her. She still outranks this Knight of Cups here. But, there's a bit of a sense of fun to this, to be honest. Let's read what this one says. I want to hear from the book on this. Knight of Cups. One who obeys the commands of the heart does not hesitate in the pursuit of a righteous cause. So there you go. And does not hesitate in pursuit of a righteous cause. This that you're going through is a righteous cause. Because the version of you that is dying was not serving you and was not serving others. When you transform into the Queen of Wands, she activates and enlivens and empowers everyone around her. By becoming the Queen of Wands, you lift up everyone around you. With this abundance, with this spiritual knowledge, with the passion. This is a righteous cause. And this is what will be the effect of this transformation in the environment, in the change. And, nights also speak to change, to directions of change. This is the direction of the change. Following the commands of the heart, not hesitating to pursue justice or righteous causes. So that is a beautiful, beautiful direction. Not without its anxieties and its difficulties, as we have discussed. However, all for a righteous cause. So, my friends, I'm going to leave that here. Watch this again if you need to kind of work through it more. There's a lot in this. So, I hope this served, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.